is Heather Alekson. I'm a development director on Army of Two, the Devil's Cartel. I started out in games about 6 years ago, and I came to games by way of the aerospace and defense industry. So actually my company acquired a games technology and started up a games division, and then EA became a client, and for me, just having a little bit of a peek at their industry and having it, it was much more dynamic, much more exciting, and much more of what I had wanted when I finished university. So for me, it was an easy switch. And honestly, gender didn't really come into play. It was more about being part of a more dynamic and a product that customers and consumers actually can buy, and it's actually on the shelf, which was, you know, a big draw for me. It's not difficult. You know what I think? I think that because video games is a relatively young industry, a lot of the people that we work with are, you know, around my age, and it's just there's not this sort of history of this male-dominated culture. Although there are a lot of guys working there, this isn't something that's sort of been built up over time and has a specific way of doing things. And I find it's a lot of people from my generation where, to be honest, that's not even really an issue. Just like, you know, gender and race, you know, are equally not issues. It's Army of Two, the Devil's Cartel. So Army of Two is, I mean, the best way to sort of summarize is it's a action summer blockbuster style co-op game. Essentially, you're playing with your partner. In this installment, you're in a private military corporation, and you're contractors that have been hired to protect a high-ranking government official in Mexico. And as you land on the ground, you're met by opposition, which is the form of the drug cartels in Mexico. So we chose this subject matter of the cartels in Mexico and the drug cartels because it's a little more current than some of our previous stories have been, and we wanted to update the story to sort of match a little bit more about what's going on in real life and have our users be able to associate a little bit more and to update the tone of the game to be a little bit more serious. Previous Army games have been quite quite humorous, but also quite a little bit almost on the sort of super macho cheesy side. So we wanted to bring it back into something that's a little more relatable and a little more current, which is why we chose, we kind of chose current events with the cartels in Mexico. But at the same time, that's really as far as it goes. The game is set in a fictitious place with fictitious characters. We have a lot of sort of over-the-top action. So while we're trying to, have something that's a little more relatable, it's still, it's still a video game. It's still for fun. It's still a little bit of light humor. So in the third installment of Army is really all about this feature called Overkill. So essentially in the past we've always been a co-op game. We've always been co-op from the core, but our co-op was mainly feature driven. So we had a lot of co-op features, and this time we really focused on what could make that better and integrated co-op in just the regular game mode. So stay away from sort of more like the gimmicks and just have it as part of the regular gameplay loop. So what we've done is introduce a feature called Overkill, where essentially that plays very well into that. So you play together strategically to earn more points, and these points go towards filling your overkill meter. And this overkill meter, once it's full, you can then trigger this mode where it's really an over-the-top, kind of time-dilated state where you're invincible, you have unlimited ammo, and you're really going and causing mass destruction with basically everything in your path, which also plays to sort of the more action and epicness of where we wanted to go with the theme of sort of the blockbuster. But then as you do that, you earn then more points to be able to go buy different weapons, to be able to play together to earn more points. So that's kind of the loop. So we've really focused on making that experience much cleaner. The other thing we did was, as I mentioned, we took a little bit more of a serious tone with the story. It wasn't something that was very important in the previous armies, and in this game we really focused more. Again, made it a little bit more serious, but it kept it lighthearted. And then the third big thing is just really up the ante with the explosions. We changed engines, which really allowed us to explore destruction in a new way, and we've done a lot of it in the game. I think it's both. I mean, again, it's what I find, sort of almost like a guilty pleasure with Army is it's not going out there and trying to be the most authentic shooter experience. The shooting feels great, but it's not going out there to try and be, a realistic war game. We've kind of separated ourselves from the pack in that we really wanted to make it a little bit tongue-in-cheek and a little bit fun and a little bit, again, like a guilty pleasure where, blowing stuff up is fun. It doesn't have to necessarily be the most realistic thing, but everybody likes it, everybody's smiling, and it's super fun to play. Absolutely. I mean, I think the big thing with our game is a lot of games have co-op because, co-op's increased in popularity over the course of the Army franchise, and so you see a lot of games now coming to the table with co-op, but you see them coming to the table with co-op as a co-op mode or like an add-on player that plays with you, but can come and go, whereas with us, our game is always co-op. Whether you're playing with a human player or whether you're playing with partner AI, the game is designed from the ground up to be always played with two players. It just depends on whether they're artificial intelligence or whether they're an actual human.
But what is the main strength of Army of Two now compared to the others?
So the main strength of Army and the co-op offering that it has, I think, is twofold. One is that it really we allow you to play co-op in a large number of ways. So you can play co-op with a buddy, like what we call kind of couch co-op, where you're doing split screen. You can go online and play with a friend, or you can go online and play with a stranger, or you can play, even though you can play by yourself, still co-op because you have the partner AI. So we really offer three pretty significant modes, and for us, as seamless as the experience can be is where we're successful. So whether you're playing with a person or where you're playing with the AI, we really try to make that that the only difference is instead of talking strategy, you're basically controlling your AI character. So I think that's one of the things that's different. And the other thing is that every map that we build from day one and every mission that we're creating is built for two people. Like I said, it's not an add-on. It's not a player can kind of hop in, or it's really one person doing one mission and another doing another. Ours is you're always working together. You're reliant on each other. You can't get through the game without working together, and it's this sort of this camaraderie and kind of this it takes two mentality that I think separates us from all of the other games that are having co-op as a mode that are coming out now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.